Thank you for the opportunity to let me come speak before you today, and I appreciate Start for having this today. I'm a new resident to Arlington. I've only been here 3 years, but I came here to retire here. I lived in Cedar Creek Lake for another year, 22 years. I moved back here to be close to my family. Thank you. I've spent 21 years in the Air Force. I'm retired from the Air Force. I'm retired engineering manager from Dallas Area Rapid Transit for 12 years. I was retired from LTV, Super Collider. I'm also a past mayor and city councilman in Enchanted Oaks, Texas. I'm a member of Pleasant View Baptist Church. I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to serve the residents because I think the residents need a voice. I think everybody's been clear on that the people, apparently 60,000 to 30,000 felt that short-term rental was very important. Not short-term rental, but term limits was very important, and they voted that in. And so I sat back and I watched this thing, went through on that, and obviously the people felt like that the term limits needed to be installed, and so therefore they voted that in. And I support that. I fully support that, and it's given me an opportunity to come before you and run for as a candidate. Now, I have some differing views on things. On short-term rentals, let me just get that out of the way. The way it's proposed currently, I don't support what they're proposing now in the city in option 2B because it doesn't take into account those people that are doing a good job that are outside those zones that they're establishing. I think it's important to take into consideration those people that are doing a good job, and I think the money could be well spent in the city instead of adding additional regulations and administration, which is going to cost the city a significant amount of money. I think possibly code enforcement should be beefed up, and we should take care of those bad actors. Anytime you add additional administration or any kind of programs to the city, you know, it's got to be staffed and it's got to be administered, and that costs a lot of money. So although we need maybe some additional things to be looked at on that, I think there's a compromise to be made where we can take care of those people that exist right now with short-term rentals, and they're doing a good job. And I've spoken to several of you, and you feel like you're responsible, you pay the hotel tax, and so there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to continue to do that. That said, we need to work through that and reach some kind of local compromise, and that's one of the other issues that I see in the city is local compromise. I don't see a lot of local compromise as I talk to the fire and the police departments and the other departments. There's some issues in the city, and of course a lot of that comes out in referendums. When you do referendums in the city, what do? You cause dissatisfaction, tension between different departments and different groups of people, and the only reason you have referendum is because you can't get agreement. So it's bad enough at the federal level that we can't disagree, but locally we ought to be able to sit down at the table, iron out our differences, and come together and work and resolve those issues. What would I like to see happen in Arlington? I'm not a big major transit supporter. However, that said, I think that there's a transit corridor, and what my plan would be for the city would be to establish a transit corridor. It'd run all the way from the entertainment district up in North Lamar, all the way down to Southwest Campus, and it would encompass all of the hospitals, the hospital districts. It would encompass the east side of town with Hugh Smith centers at. And it would provide transportation and open up access for those people that live in those areas. I think that was mentioned earlier about the zip codes where there's some underserved communities, and I think that transit corridor would provide that transportation to some of those folks and allow them to specifically have access to the schools for education, for wellness, and for jobs. I think that's an easy thing to do. I think the money's available, but you don't need to establish a Dallas area rapid transit system in Arlington at this time. Maybe in the future you do, but you need to start off with a phased approach to serve that community and provide access for those folks that actually need help. And then in addition to that, the other thing that I'd like the city to look at, and it's not a popular thing, but when I was growing up a long time ago, and Josh, I just appreciate that you're running. You're 26 years old. I won't hold that against you. I'm 75 and hope you won't hold that against me. Okay, thank you. But anyway, when I was growing up, if you worked at McDonald's or someplace, it wasn't McDonald's back then, but when you worked at those kind of jobs, you were usually on your road to something else. You were working part-time. Now we have a lot of folks that are working at McDonald's, and that's their living. That's how they make a living. Okay, so if they work at these kind of jobs and they're only getting $7.25 an hour, I had to look at that and I said, well, okay, that's only $15,000 a year. You can't live on $15,000 a year. You can't even live in an apartment for $15,000 a year. So I'm a proponent of the city looking at it. And we can do this in this city. We have the funds to support this. You know, the big business might not like it, but I think it's time that we, and let me step one back just a little bit. Big business has brought in a lot of jobs to Arlington. There's nothing wrong with big business. I support big business and I support the jobs that they provide. But I think it's time that we refocus a little bit on the underserved community. There's over 20% of our community is underserved, and they're below the poverty level. The poverty level for a family of four, $24,000 a year. You can't hardly live on $24,000 a year. Would raising am I getting too? I got to wind this up. Okay, $10 an hour I think is reasonable. That gets you $20,000 an hour. Does that fix the problem? No, but that's better than what it was. The other thing is the restaurant workers are only paid $2.13 an hour plus their tips. If they work all day long, I've got a granddaughter that works in a restaurant. She might work 8 hours and she gets $16 is all she's going to get. She doesn't get any tips. That $2.13 an hour that restaurant workers or people that work off of tips get was established back in 1996 when the minimum wage was $4. That rate ought to go up to at least $4. So I'm just saying there ought to be a baseline increase in that, and I think I've got some plans and that I think I can roll out and I can think we can do and help the community at large. So thank you. Appreciate your vote. Don Warner. Don't forget the name Warner, first on the ballot, place 8, and good luck to everybody else. Thank you.